crowd goes wild. Because they are wild. Such a wild animal, right, Peter? Hey, Angie.
That would be nice to play. A little theme song.
You want it? Okay, we're rolling. Woo! Welcome to the Magic Box Talk Show here at Dollar City. Dollar City store downtown Santa Cruz, right across the street from the bus station. And I think that's the 2010 building, the apartment building there. It's a popular place with college students who like to party. Whoop, whoop. Raise the roof. All right, so we're here with Brent now. As some of you might know, if you're a viewer of the show, oh, see, Brent's already thinking on the same wavelength as me, which is that the slogan, you might say, of the show is a question which we're all wondering about, which is what's in the box. So here's the thing, we all got to say it at once. Okay, can we do this? Can we handle this? Okay, 1, 2, 3. What's in the box? Hey, let's find out what's in the box today. Today in the box we have, oh, look at this. Whoa!
Is that a top or a dreidel?
It's a top. Oh. It's one of the simple yet effective toys of the yesteryear.
I have.
You have 2 tops.
They light up.
They light up. Oh man, mine's just carved wood. It doesn't light up. I'll have to put some LEDs in it or something. And we have Mr. Dinosaur. You want to play with the dinosaur? Yeah, man. Do you know what type of dinosaur that is? Oh, it's a Triceratops. Because he has 3 horns. And
Triceratops bottoms.
we also have, look, we have coins. One's a euro and one's from Egypt. But it's hard to tell from back there. We'll get a close-up of it later or something. Brent has things in his pocket, a piece of tape. Hey, Brent.
I actually have invisible tape. I know you can't see what's in my hands, but I actually am holding invisible tape.
Because it's invisible, right, yeah. So, you just have to take his word for it that it was actually there. Hey, Brent, you made a documentary.
I did.
What's your documentary about, Brent?
It's about Occupy Santa Cruz.
What's that?
It's
for people who live in caves, who don't know about these things.
It was our little fragmented part of the National People's Movement that sprouted out last October.
Yes.
In Wall Street.
Yes.
After kind of an international movement that had been popping up all over. We had
had to do with the banking fraud which occurred on Wall Street, which is the reason that our economy is in.
For some people, it was about the banking fraud.
I suppose it was for different things about different people, which is sort of what the issue you address in your documentary, which is entitled
"What Are You Doing Here?"
What are you doing here? Because that's the question.
Inside Occupy Santa Cruz.
What are you guys doing here? I mean, isn't that really the question everybody wanted to know about Occupy? What are you doing?
What are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
The question is also, what are you doing here?
Right.
And what am I doing here? Are we just hanging out, or what are you actually?
What's the point of the whole thing?
Well, yeah, it has several,
many
potential
layers.
meanings, layers.
It's sort of a thematic driver of the film. You're exploring what's the answer to this question.
Because there was a cliche, there was something that they'd been asking throughout the Occupies. Why are you here?
Why?
Yeah.
Oh.
And for me, it was, what are you doing here?
What? A specific thing, a specific action.
Action. Yeah.
Well, what are some answers to that question that come up in your documentary? What are different opinions that people have about this?
I didn't actually directly ask anybody that question, like they did all across the country. For me, it was more, and it's you can find it at subcommandante.com. Subcommandante.com.
That's correct.
Subcommon.
Which is a reference to Subcomandante Marcos from
differently,
the National Liberation Army of Mexico.
And so I had, so you can find it there. It's about 2 hours of documentary there in 9 segments.
You can also search for the documentary on YouTube and find it there.
Yeah. What are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
So over the last 2 years, I really just wanted to somehow do something to help bring a revolution, shake the world up in any way. And I was like, what can I do? How can I do it? So I realized people were watching lots of videos on Facebook, on YouTube, and I was like, if I can't have much, I could get maybe 10 people to have you and I kind of played with the idea of starting an activist group. We called it, well, maybe we shouldn't say what we called it.
It was a secret.
Right, it was the secret group.
We can't.
Secret underground army. Sorry.
That wasn't. Who came up with that?
Can't help it. It's automatic.
But we actually, we had some meetings and
Well,
called.
you remember what was funny about the
one point.
secret underground army is that the SUA is also the Student Union Association.
Right. Yeah. No.
So it's
That
actually the secret
that was
underground
not funny.
army is actually
That was not
front for the
That's the part that wasn't funny.
University of Santa Cruz
He was
Student
laughing.
Union Association.
So I finally just said, well, I'm just going to. I have a film degree that I forgot all about. I had no discipline to make documentaries and films when I was younger. I put all my life into it, and I just pissed it off, if I can say that. Like Santa Cruz
I
just
believe
does
it's
it
okay
to some
refer
people.
to urinating on the magic box.
And so I finally just, after years of not manifesting anything except a bartender job or a fine dining waiter job here, I was like,
well, how exciting is that?
I got to do something with my life that I can feel really proud about. And I have the rest of my life to do it, so why don't I just, do something? Anything. And I was like, well, I always wanted to be a filmmaker. And all of a sudden, people around me are, working on Final Cut. They're working at the community TV. People I didn't even respect their intellectual capacity or their creative output were making videos. And I was like, well, at least I can do that.
Yeah.
No disrespect to them. They were actually
that's kind of an amazing,
they were inspiring to me.
That's kind of as simple as it sounds. It's kind of a revelatory moment that people have in their lives. Is the moment where they realize I should just go out and do things that I'm interested in doing.
Look at Colin's doing something.
I'm doing a talk
Even
show.
Colin.
Even Colin. It's true.
Yeah. Our friend Sue has been doing radio for years.
2 years he's been doing radio.
Not only that,
That was a peace sign.
he makes children. The guy makes.
I only have one hand available.
He made human beings.
Well, that must have been an
It's not a
entertaining
small
process.
hook. There's a human being right there.
Soup. Hey, Soup, was that hard work making that human being right there?
We can talk about that in a minute, but I'll say this.
Bring out the burlesque girls again. And,
It's
okay,
it felt good. It was hard though. Oh yeah.
Back to the documentary.
So what I did was last year I started saving all my money, a year and a half ago now, and I bought a camera. I saved $2,000.
Hey, there you go.
And that means I didn't spend it on everything else.
So you got your documentary made, but the camera was just recently stolen.
Well, we could get to that. Yeah, I did. The camera was stolen.
What's the brand name of your camera there?
Canon XL1. It's
Hey, you hear that, Santa Cruzans? If you see a Canon XL1 floating around,
it's a big silver case.
Maybe somebody trying to sell it for drugs or something like that.
Yeah.
You
stolen from the
stolen
tannery.
From Brent Adams, stolen from the Tannery Arts Center.
But that's a little beside the point. So I bought that and then just started, and then all of a sudden, I also bought a MacBook Pro, and it already had Final Cut loaded on it. So that's several $1,000. And and I didn't have fun. I was like going, I'm going to do this. And all of a sudden, this people's movement exploded, boom. And I'm like, well, shoot! I just parked.
That was like
right
overnight.
In front of it. Yeah,
there was
right
the politics of pre-Occupy and the politics of post-Occupy, and it was just an abrupt transition. Yeah.
And now we are post-Occupy, and
we're post-Occupy. It's a weird space. The election and everything.
Right.
I think the Chicago nurses strike, or teachers strike. Is very interesting.
Well, we'll see a lot of those. I mean, the Wisconsin one, union strike predated the Occupy movement,
absolutely.
and kind of showed us what it looked like to occupy a capital for a week, and it was very inspiring.
Oh, absolutely. And what predated that was the Arab Spring, which those two uprisings were very related to each other. You had the people from Egypt ordering pizza for the demonstrators in Wisconsin. Yeah.
Well, the things outside of the country, it's like we don't actually believe that we can do we didn't believe we could do things like that in this country until Wisconsin really started showing up and really taking space, and then in every little town across the country, like Occupy Santa Cruz had 200 tents at the peak. We had a dome for 2 months.
Santa Cruz is like a medium-sized college town. We're not a sprawling megalopolis like San Francisco or Los Angeles or Seattle.
Well, it is kind of a lefty, liberalized town.
Yeah,
thinks of itself
as, I think that what gets called liberal in Santa Cruz is often kind of conservative, but that's a whole other topic of discussion.
Well, we have a very liberal